Do you know that how you play depends upon who you play? In this video, rising star Anna Bright is going to help us understand what you need to do the next time you're out on the pickleball courts. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, my name is CJ Johnson, and together, along with my partner Tony Roy, Master Teaching Professional, we help pickleball players over 50 live their best lives on and off the pickleball courts.
I know that you transitioned from tennis at UC Berkeley, right? A high level of tennis and playing, tennis at some of the highest levels. And you come into pickleball, and I'm assuming, and I came from tennis too, not at your level, but I came from tennis. So you start really as a tennis player. Can you talk a little bit about the soft game or how you had to adapt from tennis to pickleball so that folks understand how that process a little better?
Yeah, so tennis and pickleball are obviously similar in that they're both racket sports. But pickleball has a lot of things that tennis doesn't have at all. Like in tennis, there's no third shot drop. There's no dinking the ball, nicely to your opponent when they're right in front of you. So I think those are the two shots that tennis players struggle with the most coming into pickleball. So those are the things that I really had to learn. And I would say that I always had very good feel. So I do think that for me, compared to some other tennis players, kind of learning those shots might have come easier than for some. And of course, I was a very good tennis player. So there's definitely a certain level of talent and baseline ability that was already there for me. But yeah, those are some things that it just takes a lot of reps. And for me, when I first started playing pickleball, I didn't get those reps through drilling. I just got those reps through playing in an obsessive amount. But now I drill a lot more to continue to get better at those things.
Anna, if we can, let's talk a little bit about that soft game, because there's no doubt about it that you are a powerhouse. I mean, that especially that backhand of yours, you can see a little bit of fear in some people from time to time. What have you done to help yourself transition to the soft game and I guess more than that, realizing, gee, the power is not going to work. I need to go soft.
Yeah, I think when I first started playing pickleball, like probably when I first started, I was already at around a 4.0 level, and I hit hard enough that I got away with things, but as I got better and I played with higher levels of players as I gradually moved up, I had to learn, driving every third doesn't work anymore, and then I had to start learning and adapting, which is, as you guys mentioned, it's always going to happen. You're always learning and adapting and trying to pick up on new skills, but that's something that probably, within just a couple weeks of playing, I realized, it's not going to work every time. So yeah. And then I think that a big area where I recognize that my soft game really needs to improve is actually in mixed doubles, because women's doubles is largely a banging game. It's like we take like 2 to 3 steps off the kitchen and we're just in these intense firefights with each other. And that's kind of how women's doubles has transitioned. And that's why it's my favorite event. There's not too much dinking in women's doubles, but mixed is a, there's a very different role. As a girl, it's largely, you got to be super consistent. You're making dinks, you're trying to get the advantage over the other woman, and it's more of a dinking game. So I think in order for me to become a better mixed player, like that really comes with me continuing to improve my soft game and my dinking ability.
And it was really interesting to hear that differentiation between mixed and women's doubles at the pro level. And I'm curious about that. If you have an answer, I'm just kind of curious to explore this if you have a second, which is this. Because what I've noticed in the game study that we do is when I look at pro men matches, there's a lot of dinking, right? When I look at pro women's matches, I would say there's some dinking, but yes, much more aggression. When I look at senior pro women, it's aggression all day long, right? And so I'm trying to understand, like, is that like, you think like when you play a mixed, is it like a hand speed thing, or is it like, like if you go aggressive in the mixed, what's wrong in that scenario? Why can't you go hard there, I guess?
It's interesting. So I think that the roles for men and women in mixed are very different, really defined. I think the difference between men and women in pickleball is a lot less exaggerated than it is in a sport like tennis. In tennis, you have the serve, you have so much more room to cover, so mobility is a bigger factor, just height alone is a bigger factor. Whereas in pickleball, I don't think there's a huge difference in hand speed between men and women. I think it's more so the power, but I practice with JW Johnson, and I can tell you that if I, start a hands exchange with him, like I'm probably winning like less than 5% of the time if we're starting from neutral, and that's just kind of the reality, so in mixed, you have to be really, really selective with when you're going to go at the man. If you're going to pull the trigger aggressively on them, the men can just, you even see a difference in technique. The men will keep the paddle in front of them all the time and they're like flicking. Whereas women like are taking full swings at the ball because we just don't necessarily have the same wrist strength. So that's why, I think that men's doubles is more of a dinking game. But for the men in mixed, it's a more offensive game, because mixed largely comes down to which woman is setting up their man better and then which male is creating more offense and overpowering the other woman more successfully. So the roles are really different. We have to dink more in mixed, we get to bang more in women's. They dink more in men's, and they're more aggressive in mixed.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. That's what I was thinking. It might be like that because you watch JW and a lot of the players are deckle or whatever. They're just out here, and from here they can just ram it, right? Whereas most of the female players take more of a longer stroke. So yeah, that battle wouldn't work out well. So
if you'd like more pickleball tips, click on the playlist right over here, because together we can train smart, live bold, and age well.